We can call the meeting to order with a roll call, and then for any late attendees, we'll just have to welcome them. So Commissioner Carey,
Here.
Commissioner Routsong,
Here.
Commissioner Ford,
Here.
Commissioner Jagdish,
Here.
and forgive me if I left somebody out there. Did I say Commissioner Carey? I did, didn't I? Commissioner Ford, Jagdish, Ford, Commissioner Mann.
Here.
And Commissioner Miller, present. I think that was all of us. Again, Commissioner Brown Sparks has asked me to chair today. She had some things going on, so that's what I'm going to do. So could we select a member to keep the minutes, please? And I'd also go ahead first. Let's do that first. Anybody want to take the minutes today? Any volunteers? Don't everybody jump.
I'm sorry, I need to take a break from taking minutes for this meeting.
I can appreciate that, and I certainly know that I appreciate the many times you've been taking the minutes. Can we get anyone else to volunteer for this meeting to take minutes, please? We can send you there's a template once you've taken notes that you can kind of plug in some information, if that's helpful. I find it helpful, the template. So if somebody could do that, it's basically just taking down who made a motion, what it was about, who seconded what, and a few other things. And I know staff would be willing to help if you had any questions.
I would volunteer, but I'm leaving early, so I don't want to.
That wouldn't work, would it?
No.
I appreciate the willingness if you weren't leaving early. Staff, could we ask you to help out with minutes, please, since we don't have any volunteers right now?
I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you. I
Sure.
appreciate that. Is there somebody that, well, let's talk about, we've got a lot on the agenda, and sometimes we don't get very far in the agenda. So I'd like to determine time limits for items on the agenda, if at all possible, so we can get through it. I know there is on number 5 resolution, I had, by the way of the grapevine and staff said that was going to take about 10 minutes. I wonder if we could limit our first round to 3 minutes and maybe the second round to 2 minutes for the sake of getting through things in a more timely manner. Anybody have any suggestions otherwise? I see thumbs up. So could we do a roll call on if that's okay? I guess we need a motion first to do that.
I'll make the motion to keep the minutes minimum. Would that be best fitting to maybe to 3 to 2 minutes? Is that the best way to get that motion going? Or do I just, okay.
I think that's okay. The first round to 3 and the second round to 2 minutes, I think is, yeah. Thank you for making that motion. Do we have a second?
Second. I'll second it.
Thank you. Now, can somebody keep an eye on the clock? So, so somebody's going to have to kind of keep an eye on the clock for us and maybe say, hey, time's up. I have a nice little bell here, but I can't chair, I don't think, and do that at the same time.
can keep the timer.
Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner Carey. Much appreciated. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is approval of minutes from November 18th, 21. It was a regular session. I don't know if anybody has any comments about that. Basically, we're just wanting to look at them. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? Nod your head if you've had a chance to look at the minutes, I guess. Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve them.
I move that we approve the minutes from November 18th.
Seconded.
Thank you. Motion carries for approval of minutes of November 18th, 21. And if it's okay with Commissioner Routsong, I'd like to turn it over to them for the resolution condemning Islamophobia and anti-Muslim violence. Are you up for that, Commissioner Routsong?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Before I start, I would like to ask the commission permission to go over the 3-minute limit slightly, maybe by 2 minutes or so, to make opening remarks about the resolution.
I think since it's your resolution and Commissioner Routsong's resolution, I think that would be okay. Are you asking for time for everyone? Because we've already.
No, just for me, because I have prepared comments that I think would take about 5 minutes.
Okay, I think that we all kind of thought that you'd be talking a little bit longer because it was your resolution and Commissioner Brown Sparks' resolution. So I think that was just a given. So you're saying in addition to the 10 minutes?
No,
Okay, then please
yeah.
go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay, thank you to all of you who are here to discuss this important resolution today. As an American of Islamic heritage, I offered to create this resolution as a response to the events of vandalism last month, as well as 3 other events which have taken place in recent memory against our Muslim community members. CAPS Commissioner Chair Brown Sparks immediately offered to help, and she is someone who also recognizes the ongoing threat to public safety posed by Islamophobia in our community. We believe it's important to faithfully represent the words and sentiments of our community in this resolution, and on behalf of our commission, I would like to thank the many community members representing Muslim, interfaith, social justice, political, and university organizations who provided endorsements or sponsorships, along with their continuous guidance on the drafting of this resolution. The purpose of this resolution is to increase the safety of our community by informing citizens and city officials of the true facts about Islam's role in the US and drawing attention to the very real current danger that Islamophobia poses to the civil liberties of all Americans. While bigotry and violence against any marginalized members of our community will, I hope, always be condemned by this commission, Islamophobia has in modern times ushered in widespread US government intrusion into the lives of Americans carried out in the name of public safety. Also, Islamophobia has been used in modern times by leaders in the US government to justify actions which endanger every American. Only last month, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and US Lieutenant General called for only one, quote, one religion in the US. More recently, news reports have arisen showing a non-Muslim member of US Congress calling a Muslim member of Congress black-hearted, evil, and a member of the Jihad Squad, and insinuated that that Muslim member might be carrying bombs in her bag. If this resolution is passed by the CAPS Commission, I believe it will send a strong message that communities like ours can actively promote peace, safety, civility best by acknowledging that none of us are safe while any one of us is denied their basic freedoms. Furthermore, no group should be considered free in a society where hate speech and other acts of bigotry against them is so widespread. Sorry about that. Commissioner Brown Sparks and I have both been impressed and humbled by the outpouring of support and solidarity that has been shown for this resolution by local organizations and community leaders. I feel honored today to be of Islamic heritage and to be a member of this community. I also want to note that while doing research for this resolution, it was suggested by multiple people that there have been acts of anti-Semitism on IU campus in recent years, and that our community could benefit from the commission considering an equally strong resolution condemning acts of anti-Semitism. And I believe they are right. I am not of Jewish heritage myself, and I would welcome any CAPS members to take leadership on such a resolution. If no one is able, it would be my honor to lead or draft such a resolution against anti-Semitism in the future, maybe in January or February meetings. In the interest of having enough time to discuss and vote on this resolution today, I will plan to raise this second resolution as a proposal for an official vote in our January meeting. That's all I have as far as opening remarks. Sorry. I also want to update the commission that the resolution has been updated slightly, that the list of sponsors has been reduced by one organization. And I contacted that them to get their comments. And I have the objection and comments that were raised by that member. And I can accurately, they are unable to attend the meeting today, but I gathered as much information as I could on their objections so that I could share them today in our commission with you all. And I can either do that now or later once we get to the discussion. So that's what I had for opening remarks.
It may help to hear that now so we could include that within the discussion itself if everybody else is okay with that. Okay,
so the objections, the first one, there's two main objections. They had, one was they thought the resolution, they had concerns the resolution could be used to condemn valid criticism of Muslim individuals or organizations. And this person mentioned the case of someone named Nadia Murad in Canada who wrote a book on sex crimes and sex trafficking by a Islamist organization in the Middle East and was accused of Islamophobia. And their second concern was that the definitions that I used in this resolution were from an organization called CAIR, the Council for American Islamic Relations. And they had concerns that at least one member of that organization's leadership has accusations of bigotry themselves against the LGBTQ community and possible ties to Islamist organizations as well. I already replied that I do not personally feel this resolution would include Nadia Murad's case. I don't think this resolution would condemn Nadia Murad as an Islamophobic person because as least as what he suggested, this person criticized a particular Muslim group, ISIS, and didn't say things about Muslims in general, right? And so I think the resolution is pretty clear that Islamophobia is a hatred of Muslims and not, not valid criticism of one particular group. And the second claim, I feel like I'm not the best person to determine which organizations in the US have the most respected or useful definitions of Islamophobia and anti-Muslim bigotry. I personally would also condemn any homophobic actions or statements that have been made by anyone affiliated with this group. But I don't know that those would necessarily mean that this is still not the most respected organization on this topic. And so I would defer to Professor, I think we're joined today by two of the IU professors who have endorsed the resolution, and I would defer to them to speak more on the reputation of CAIR and the group and the definitions that we used. So those are, as far as I can give you a summary of their objections and my thoughts about them.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation and your work. And I'd like to go on the record for both you and Commissioner Brown Sparks' work on this resolution. Um, let's go ahead and get started on first round comments if we could. And it looks like Commissioner Mann, you're up first if you have any comments.
I didn't see anything in the resolution either that would lead to potential problems with the case, like the author who called out the sex traffickers that you cited. So I agree with you on that, and I haven't heard anything about the accusations against the leadership in CARE, but I would love to hear more about that from our guests if they're willing to share with us later. And I just want to thank Commissioner Routsong and Commissioner Brown Sparks for putting this together.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. Commissioner Carey, do you have any comments first round?
No, not at the moment. And I also want to thank Commissioner Brown Sparks and Commissioner Rapsong for putting this together, for our community.
Thank you, Commissioner Carey. Commissioner Jagdish, do you have any comments today about this?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So I believe that we as a commission, in many respects, and also before I begin, I apologize for the ambient noise. I'm in a place with a lot of noise around me, so if that's coming in through my microphone, I do apologize for that. But I just wanted to say that we as a commission have been entrenched in this debate for the entirety of this year, in essence, on procedure and on how we ought to do our work. And that has led to a lot more discussion on, procedure than anything else. And we are now presented here with the opportunity to do something of substance. And I encourage the commission to approve this resolution because I think it's important not to conflate origin with intent. Even if there are some dubious, ties to the specific language of this resolution that may have been brought up by certain members of the community, I still believe that the intention of this resolution will speak far more than those connections. If somebody raises those problems, then it's because they're looking for them. Because I don't think that our intention here is to do anything more than promote a more inclusive and safe community. So, that essentially encapsulates where I stand at the moment. And yes, I fully support this.
Thank you, Commissioner Jagdish, for your comments. Commissioner Ford?
I do not have any additional information to bring yet. I agree that I fully support this. At the moment, I would like more information on the member who had spoke or was against LGBT communities, and I'm hopeful that our guest speakers could possibly speak on that as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Ford. I think we just have someone in the audience today that is a guest, and I appreciate them being here. So my comments are, I didn't see anything in the resolution that was problematic. I just didn't see that, but then I'm not from that lived experience. So the objection may be valid for that person, but I didn't see it. The cultural, and I just don't want to perpetuate any problems. So I think this is a good way to not do that. I think if we don't have resolutions like this, then we might be perpetuating problems by listening to some other things. So that said, I think I'll support this 100%. And I also want to say something that Commissioner Routsong had brought up about a resolution for anti-Semitism. I will be on board with that. And if somebody else wants to work on that, I will also work on that. I think that's all I have, even for round for round one, and I would like to hear from all, as well as others, from our guest, and if we could keep that to a minimum, if possible, that would be great, so we can keep moving. Commissioner Roudsong, would you like to call upon them to speak?
Oh, sure. It looks like there are 4 members of the public here today. 2 of them, I recognize their names as signatories or endorsers. And so I'll call on, and they're both IU professors. I'll call on Professor Aku first. And Professor Aku is also, to introduce her, she's also a board member of the ICOB, the Islamic Center of Bloomington. Heather, do you have any comments to make?
Sure. I guess my only comment is, oh, there's my video. I am not personally aware of the controversy involving the CARE board member that was mentioned. I've known about CARE for many years. I'm sure that, you know, as human beings, there are some members of the board who are more problematic than others, but I think overall their reputation is excellent and they do a great deal of good in this country to support the rights of Muslims and the civil rights of other, you know, the general tone of civil rights in this country. So I don't have a problem referencing that organization and definitions. As far as the rights of LGBTQ people are concerned, I 100% wholeheartedly support the rights of members of who have those identities. I don't see any controversy or any conflict of interest whatsoever.
Thank you. Thank you. Any, Professor Sino, do you have anything to add? Professor Sino is an expert on Islamophobia at IU.
Yes, well, thank you so much for considering this resolution. And thank you, Commissioner Rotsong, for all your efforts there. And I agree with everything that you've said, all of you. You were right on. In fact, the criticism of CARE, that I read the comments sent by this individual, that individual roots their comments in something written by the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, where they criticized CARE and they collected some information they gathered online to criticize CARE. And the thing is that it's more of a squabbling between civil rights organizations that has more to do with the fact that many ADL leaders are very concerned with the state of Israel, and one of the founders of CARE is Palestinian. And so you have a bit of squabbling that has to do with foreign policy and nothing else really that has to do with our life in the United States. And so the idea is always critical of CARE because of that. But it stops at that. And the criticism is steps removed from what CARE does. You know, they invited once a guest who said something in another forum, you know, and so this is not the kind of evidence that really carries water. It's all insignificant. At the end of the day, broadly speaking, we're all working towards the same goal, which is equality and justice for all. And CARE is a very significant organization in that respect that works very well with others for the promotion of the dignity and rights and civil rights of everyone in our society.
Thank you. And I dare say that if you look into the background and details of other organizations that have very good reputations on civil rights, you may find things that are also problematic. So thank you for sharing what you know about this case.
Thank you to both Professor, I think both of you are professors, Aku and Sinyo. Would we like to go around again with our second round of questions and comments? And maybe now that we've heard from them, I think that's Commissioner Ford, you would be up first if you have any comments.
I greatly appreciate your insight on that. I definitely think that one single person inside an organization's opinion on different civil rights issue does not directly mean that that entire organization would be propelling any of these issues. So I really thank you for that insight. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Ford. Commissioner Jagdish, comments?
Well, as an IU student, I am encouraged to see professors taking an active role in community issues. So thank you for speaking up and thank you for being a part of this process. Furthermore, I just wanted to reiterate what I said before. I urge this commission to dispense with the sort of like procedural roadblocks and to take action, because I think that this is a phenomenal opportunity for us to do something of substance. Furthermore, I also wanted to echo what Commissioner Miller said earlier about drafting a similar statement condemning anti-Semitism, and I would also pledge to commit my efforts towards that as well. But yeah, with that being said, I have no other comments. Thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Jagdish. Commissioner Routzon?
Sorry, I already gave my second round feedback following Professor Sino. I don't have anything else. Thanks.
Fair enough. Commissioner Mann?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Professor Zaku and Sino for presenting today. And I have no issues with the resolution the way it is. I fully support it, and I recommend that we adopt it. And I will also support a similar resolution condemning anti-Semitism when we get to that.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. Commissioner Carey?
I have no comment at this time. Thank you to Professor, forgive me, is it pronounced Suno? Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
And Professor Aku for being in attendance and giving us your insight on this.
Thank you, Commissioner Carey. Again, thank you both for speaking on this issue and on this resolution. I appreciate it. I do want to speak just really shortly. I will be supporting this resolution. I do not think, though, that we have wasted lots of time on things that are important. So I just wanted to make that clear. Racial parity is important, and procedures are important, and we're trying to build a commission that is different. So sometimes it feels weighted down and it takes a long time, but those things are important. And I hope we continue to work on those things, but I'm also very glad that we're doing this, which is also of substance. Thank you. So I will entertain a motion to pass this resolution. If anyone has a motion for the chair, co-chair.
I would like to make that motion.
I will second.
So we have a motion and a second. I'll do this by voice call. Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner Carey,
Yes.
Commissioner Jagdish.
Yes.
Commissioner Routzon,
Yes.
and Commissioner Miller, yes. Motion carries 6-0. And thank you again to our guests for attending, and for Commissioner Routzon and Commissioner Brown Sparks for working so hard on the resolution. It's very appreciated. Thank you. So next on the agenda is the 2022 annual schedule. Right now, as it sits, we have been meeting, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because this one session is not the way it usually is. Is it the first and third Thursdays? I think it is. First Thursday is the regular meeting, and the third is the work session if we choose to have one. Is anybody, am I right? Am I wrong?
Hey, Renee. I'm sorry, Commissioner Miller. I missed a little of it because I was writing. You're asking if
What have we been doing with our meetings? Is it first and third?
the second, no, it's the second Thursday is the work session. And then the 4th
I
is
knew you
the
would
regular
notice.
session. But if you look at that annual schedule, because of Thanksgiving of next year, I moved it. So just to the 3rd, the regular session from the 4th to the 3rd week,
Okay.
that particular month. But you guys can decide if that works for you.
Very good. Does anybody have any comments about that? Let's go around and see if anybody, has everybody had a chance to look at that, the calendar for next year? And thank you for the clarity, Becky.
Did we receive that in an email? I'm not really.
I didn't see it, but if we're looking at, I'm glad you asked, Commissioner Carey. It's this, so throughout the
So
calendar.
it's included in the packet with the minutes and everything. It should be in there. I think I included it.
It looks like it's page 15 of the
Yeah.
packet.
That's probably why I didn't see it. I didn't get that far right before the meeting.
If you'd like, I can put the link for the packet in the chat, if that's helpful.
Is there any
Yes,
way you can
please.
actually pull up that particular page for us to all look at?
Yeah. Let me-
And so we can continue forward. So the work sessions, if we choose to have them, is the second Thursday at noon. And the fourth Thursday is the regular sessions, and that's how we did it this last year. Let's go around and see if that timing would be okay with everyone for the coming year.
Sorry,
So
could you say what those dates are specifically?
she's gonna put those up. Becky's gonna put them up, and while we're waiting for her to do that, maybe we should wait completely. Although I think we could probably get through a couple people. I think for the most part, I'm gonna be okay with it, but I don't want to be first. I think the chair's kind of supposed to wait till the last. So, Commissioner Mann,
That should work for me. Yeah.
okay. Thank you, Becky.
Can you see here, I'm trying to get it so you can see the whole thing.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Then it gets so small.
Then it gets tiny, yeah.
then we
Okay.
all need bifocals. So there may be one or two dates on there that may or may not work for someone, but that's okay. I think we can probably work with that, and that's just kind of now I'm just rambling, which is not necessary. Now I can't see my people. Where's my people? Commissioner Jagdish, comments about this schedule for 22?
As it stands, I have no issues.
Thank you. Commissioner Routsong, do you need a few more minutes to look at those dates and I can come back to you?
No, those dates are fine.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Routsong. Commissioner Carey?
Yes, I'm almost done looking at them. I'm sorry.
Oh, take your time. Take your time. Commissioner Ford?
Those dates work for me.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ford. I will come back to you, Commissioner Carey. You know, on a preliminary glance, there may be a date or two there that I will not be available due to family affairs, vacationing. But I think for the most part, those dates will work for me as well.
Let's see here. So
Carey?
I believe they all work for me. One will definitely I only see one so far that I won't be in attendance for because we'll be on our family vacation. But other than that, it works for me.
Might I ask which one, for the sake of, I know I'm also looking at those vacation times, and I wonder if maybe if they're the same, maybe we could tweak it a little bit now.
So it's going to be the May 26th regular session.
Is that a holiday weekend? It is, isn't it?
Well, let me see here. Actually, it's Memorial Day that coming up, that Monday, the 30th. But we will, we'll be like sort of like in the midst of our vacation that particular day. But yeah, the only date I see is May 26th.
That just happens to be one of those days in that kind of that area, same day actually,
Oh, nice.
where I'm going away for a quick 4-day getaway. The fish spawn that time of year. I'll just leave it at that. So I like to fish. Anyway, so when we get a little bit closer, I suppose we could choose to change that date unless somebody has any other ideas before that. I don't, because I don't have a calendar in front of me. Let's see if I can get one. I'm a little apprehensive, as are probably others, to have 2 commissioners missing from a regular session when it's hard to get a quorum as it is. Thoughts? I'm looking for my calendar. So in May, we have the 5th, the 12th, the 19th, and the 26th. The 12th would be a work session, and the 26th would be the date we're talking about. I wonder if we could change that. Is anybody opposed to changing that now instead of waiting? I see Commissioner Jagdish is not opposed to changing that date. I know I'm not. I'm suggesting it.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it either.
Okay, so I don't think it's probably something we have to vote on. Is it, Becky? We could just change the date and then we can pass the dates? Is that?
Did you have a date in mind? You could just make a motion that, actually, no, because this has not been approved, so
Right,
we can
that's
change
what
it to whatever you like.
That's what I was getting at. So
Right.
that's what I was kind of thinking too, but I wanted to make sure. So since that's leading into the close of a semester and a lot of hands-on work with the homeless community in the month of May, I wonder if maybe we could just have the regular session and then skip a work session and perhaps have just the regular session on the 19th or the 12th or the 19th. Would that give us enough time between the other regular session and then this next one? We'd have 2 if we went to the 12th. If we went to the 19th, we could have 3 weeks between the 2 regular sessions. Thoughts?
I think
Anybody?
the 19th sounds reasonable.
Okay. Want to do a straw poll on that? See if the 19th works for everybody. Commissioner Ford,
Yes, that works for me.
Commissioner Roudsong,
Yes.
Commissioner Carey,
Yes.
Commissioner Mann, obviously you threw that out there. Works for
Yes.
me. So let's change that, please, Becky, to the 19th. Yes.
Can I,
Yeah,
just for clarity, are you suggesting that we keep the May 12th date and add the 19th as a regular session, or get rid of both dates and just have the 19th?
That was a 2-parter, wasn't it? I was saying that the month of May is a very busy month for a lot of people, including the hands-on community that are helping others in the community. That's when things are just getting underway for spring, everything, and wrapping up also with other things. So I was suggesting that maybe we not have a work session in May and just have the regular session on my calendar's gone now,
Okay,
on the
I
19th.
understand.
But that was just my thoughts, and I think that's what we were all straw polling on, were we not? Commissioner Mann, that is okay with that. Any, Commissioner Jagdish?
No
No.
objections here.
Okay. Commissioner Ford, are you okay with skipping a work session during that time?
Yes.
Commissioner Ratsong,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Carey,
Yes.
and yes for me too. So I think that's, for clarity's sake, that is, yes, what we were gonna do is cancel both of those and bring on the 19th for the regular session. Becky?
Sorry, I'm having, for some reason, my video will not come on. I don't know why, so I apologize for that. But yeah, that's fine. I can make that change. And then with that assumption, if you want to go ahead and approve the agenda as a whole, as amended, and I will make the change and send it out to you guys and post it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Did we not approve the agenda? Shame on me.
I'm sorry. If I said agenda, I meant the annual schedule. That's what I meant.
But you know what? We didn't approve the agenda in hindsight. So, backtracking. Could we backtrack? I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting.
I'll
Motion
second.
here.
Okay.
Okay. I think that we had two voices. One was a first and a second. So, okay. So the agenda is as is. Thank you. And I'm sorry for that procedural error on my part. Okay. Now, I would entertain a motion to adopt this regular meetings schedule for next year.
I'll motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Carey, for motioning for that. We have a
I'll
second.
second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. All right, moving along. Continuation of discussion. No, wait a minute. Yes. Number 7 on the agenda is continuation of discussion and vote on agenda template. I have since had some time to look that over, and that's what I had asked for the last time we were looking at that topic, and I think it's a pretty good template, and I appreciate staff's work on it. But that's just me, and I'm sorry I rambled again. Has everybody else had an opportunity to look at that, the template? Okay, let's do a round to see where everybody's is with it on comments. Commissioner Ford?
I approve it.
Okay, so any comments, Commissioner Ratsong, on the template?
No comments. I also approve it.
Okay, Commissioner Carey?
I vote to approve it, and I have no comment.
I like that. We're all just doing two things at once without we'll still have to do, yeah, anyway. Commissioner Mann?
Yeah, I'm also ready to.
Excellent. Commissioner Jagdish?
I concur. I'm ready to approve as well.
Excellent. Me too. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve our agenda template.
I second.
Thank you. Motion carries. So we now have that template and that we can look at and use. Now moving on to agenda item 8, we're talking about committee formation, and there was a discussion, I believe it was 2 months ago. Don't quote me on timing, please. There's been a lot going on, but it's a continued discussion of the proposed research committee. to catch people up a little bit. We had been forming different committees, work committees, and I had actually suggested that we have a research committee, and there was some discussion about it, and now we're just picking up where we left off with that discussion. My idea, just to give 60 seconds, was to have an overall research committee that would put together surveys to elicit information being brought into us for a variety of things, whether it be racism, classism, homophobia, or LGBTQ issues, lots of different things, but getting a research committee that would put together research or surveys to elicit all that information into one place and under one umbrella. But that was my idea, and so that's where we're sitting with the conversation right now. I still think that that's a good idea to have a research group or a working group that does that, puts together these surveys, and goes out and gets the data that we need. So let's have some discussion, further discussion about it and debate. Commissioner Ford, you were up.
So personally, one of the best parts about this commission is to bring in community insight and really try to get what public safety means to the community. I'm in big support of having a research committee. I think it can assist us in acknowledging the true needs of our specific community. I think having knowledge of other evidence-based practices is important, but having that background knowledge of what our community truly needs is going to be very insightful for this commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Ford. Commissioner Ratzon, you have any comments?
No comments at this time.
Okay. I guess we know we're on first round of our 3 and 2. Commissioner Mann, any comments?
I do think a group putting together these kinds of surveys could be useful to us, especially if we collaborate with some survey systems that the university already has in place. And I've heard people reference that before, people who know a lot more about it than I do. But I have no objections to the idea of a survey committee, the way you describe it.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. Commissioner Jagdish.
Yeah, I think that a research committee would complement the goals and necessities of the commission very well. So I'm very supportive of it. As Commissioner Mann just alluded to a few moments ago, there are a lot of things that we can use to gather valuable information. And as representatives of various factions or groups within the larger Bloomington community, I think it's important that we use data and numbers and the most accurate representation of the needs of the people to do our work. So I'm in full support of that.
Thank you, Commissioner Jagdish. Commissioner Carey?
I definitely think it would be a great idea for the survey committee. Definitely, if it's to get the insight on the public, the public opinion, because that's who we need to hear from. But I'm just curious to how that would work. Would we do it? Will we be the ones out, or whoever's on the survey committee out getting those questions answered, or the data? That'd be like the only question I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Carey. I think the idea, I guess it's my turn to give no, this is my second round. I think that's to be established by the research committee. I I would like to call it a research committee and not just a survey committee, because I think we can put both together, the research that's out there along with our survey data. But I'm also hoping that we have several people that want to be in that group. And to answer your question, I think it'll be both. I think hopefully we'll have some students help us, and we'll have some researchers at IU help us, and we'll be doing it ourselves too. I think it's a variety of answers to that question.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So second round, if not, do we need a second round? Commissioner Ford?
I have no additional comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Routzon?
My only hesitation is that making sure that this research group, we're not creating a silo of information, and so that there's some kind of rule that whatever research is being done in conjunction with whichever working group is currently working on that topic, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense for us to have like a working group, for instance, on housing, and then have someone in the research working group doing research on housing and not communicating or not working with us in that. Does that make sense? That's my only concern. Can we I don't know, add something to the expectations for this group to address those concerns? Does anyone else feel that's a valid concern?
Thank you for your comment, Commissioner Routzon. Commissioner Mann?
I think that's a valid point. Can it be something as simple as saying that the work that the research committee does is in direct support of the other committee, so that the research committee is carrying out the legwork for, for instance, the committee on policing and crisis response team. If we need the research committee to do surveys or to collect the data and then bring it back to us, then the two committees are working together. And if the research committee is a direct support for every other committee in that respect, is that what you're talking about, Commissioner Ratzong?
Yes, I would endorse language like that basically says that this working group works to support and to serve the interests of the other working groups who are kind of taking the direction on those topics, if that makes sense.
I think it does make sense. Your comment makes sense, but I don't want to be only limited to the working groups when we're collecting data, because then we might be leaving out a whole lot of information that we're actually eliciting info from. We're getting information in from the public. And while we all have this one idea, maybe, not we all, but I think you understand that it's just vernacular I'm using. We have the idea of working on something very specific, but then we're hearing from somebody else something else. So I don't want it to be not included. So the survey questions would be made up of the survey or the research committee working group, and then the working groups, subgroups, other groups can look at that data and say, I want to use this data. And you can pick that data out of it, but there still might be data left. And that data will be standing alone for future use. So I don't think it has to be completely tied in to each and every working group, but I think it can support each working group. I hope that made sense. It made sense in my head. We're going to get into tunnel vision if we try to make it completely one-sided. So that's my fear. So
Okay.
thank you for your, can't hear you. We'll
I
take
was just
one more.
asking if now is a good time for me to make a comment.
Well, we've had a couple comments, but I hate to not finish a debate. So, is everyone okay with one more round of comments? Okay, let's start with Commissioner Ford.
I do believe that the committee should, the research committee should gather information on all types of groups when it comes to public safety. And when we do that, we will be addressing the needs of other committees. But I do think if we focus too heavily on exactly the information that the other committees would be asking for, then we would possibly miss out on some very important information that could end up helping the community in the long run, or that more committees would be created around.
Commissioner Routsong. Thank you, Commissioner Ford.
Yeah, I also agree that the research committee should be doing research in areas in addition to our working groups. So I'm hoping there's a way that we can find to combine these positions. Sorry, can you guys hear me? My computer went out for a second. That I would hope there's a way that we could say, you know, this committee, when doing work or maybe when writing those survey questions regarding the working group topics, that they do so in consultation with those working groups. If there's already a working group on that topic. That's my only concern. I totally agree that the whole purpose of this group would be to be doing research to know where we should be spending our time and possibly creating new working groups.
Thank you, Commissioner Routsong. Commissioner Mann.
Yeah, I think that we will find a way to have this group function so that it can support the other committees, but also do, research that don't new research that will lead to new committees as well. And it sounds like we're all on the same page about that.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. Commissioner Jagdish.
I'm not quite as concerned about the creation of these informational silos, because I believe that there are probably ways for us to subvert those concerns with the creation of a central repository where all of our research is stored as a commission or something of that variety. And so I think that there are definitely ample solutions to problems like this. I think that we can all obviously also take information from more than one source. So rather than insourcing all of our information by doing it ourselves, or our research rather, we can also gather it from a host of different sources, including public comment, which is on the agenda for later today. And so I believe that there are a variety of ways to go about the work of this commission, at least in the empirical sense. And so again, I support any and all actions that we may want to take as a collective to address any individual commissioner's concerns. But as far as I go personally, I'm not quite as concerned, because I believe in our ability to combat that specifically.
Thank you, Commissioner Jagdish, for that comment. I appreciate it. Commissioner Carey.
I have no further comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Carey. I appreciate everybody's comments on this. Since it was a working group that I was hoping to have, I appreciate all of the feedback. And I too think that each working group will be doing its own research. And I think everybody knows that each working group will be doing its own research. This is not to say that this research group will do all of the research for every other group. That is not the purpose of that, this at all. So it will not fall on the shoulders of this research group to do everything. It's just in addition to get more information. That said, I would entertain a motion to create research group.
I'd like to make a motion to create a research committee.
And I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Oh, no. Great minds.
Right?
So that motion carries, and we have a research group. I think this might be a procedural issue coming up, but I'm going to look at the agenda to see. Where are we on that? So, because we have some new members, I would like to know if anybody else, and old members too, don't want to leave anyone out. If anybody would like to be in that research group, because it's going to take more than one. It's going to take a village to do these things. So I will be in that group. So are these hands for speaking or hands for being on the group? Commissioner Ford?
I would like to be in that group.
Okay, great. Thank you. Commissioner Routsong, did you have another comment, or were you wanting to be in this group?
I would like to join the group.
Okay. Commissioner Mann? Did you have your hand up?
No, I didn't have it up, sorry.
Okay. Anybody else want in the group here?
I will.
Commissioner Carey?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, it looks like we have 4 members. 5. We have Commissioner Ford, Commissioner Routsong, Commissioner Carey, and Commissioner Miller in that group. And thank you all for being willing to participate in it. Okay, so we are moving to agenda item 8.2, which is committee scheduling. I think the way we did it before was having a person that was in charge of getting a hold of people the first time to then schedule the first meeting, and then working from there. And it's unless somebody has a better idea, I still think that might be a good place to start. Let's see, Becky, how many working groups do we have now? Are you there?
The commission has formed 5 committees. I did want to just remind the commission that these committees are public. So if the committee decides to meet, they would need to give at least 48 hours in advance notice. And that does not include weekends. So that's like a work day. So I just want to let you know that. Also, and I'm going to mention this again later, but I do want to also remind everyone that meeting on Zoom is not going to last forever, unfortunately. The council office suspects that this may be the last month that the governor is going to continue the emergency that has allowed us to be meeting on Zoom. So for committees, the electronic meeting policy is going to apply to committees as well as to meetings of the commission as a whole. So I just want to let you guys know that.
Does that mean we can't can we have our meetings? I'm sorry, totally off. Thank you. I was envisioning a coffee shop or something for meetings. Just pull in the public. Thank you for that additional clarity. Yeah, I got that impression from that this might be the last one too. So about committee scheduling, we have 5. Could each committee Are there enough people here within the committees to choose maybe a person to reach out like we did last time? Last time, for the folks that were not here, we looked at who was in the committee, and then one person said, I'll reach out the first time, and that's how we kind of got started with the scheduling. Do we have enough people within the committees?
I'm sorry, would it be helpful if I pulled up who's in each committee so
Sure.
far? Although, obviously,
that's
I don't have anybody in the research committee.
Yeah, that's changed too. The
Alright.
people that are still here, we've had people come and go, and I imagine we will in the future too. But yes, that would help. Or just give us,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to go now, or I'm gonna be late.
okay,
Do you guys need me for anything? I probably have maybe like 2 minutes to spare.
you're in the housing committee, Commissioner Carey.
Yes,
So could we do that one real quick?
sure.
Everybody in the housing commission, is there someone that's available to reach out for the first time to that committee?
I can do that.
Okay, see, aren't you glad you stayed? We got to stick it to you with some work. Thank you for doing that. It's much
Okay.
appreciated. So you'll reach out to everybody on that committee. Maybe if you have any questions about who's on it, reach out to Becky and she'll fill you in.
Okay.
Okay, thank you and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you guys so much.
Take care. So for the sake of anything else, have we just dropped below quorum, Becky?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I think the quorum changed when we added more commissioners, didn't it?
There's still no, quorum should be 5.
Okay,
So-
we're still good. Thank you for that.
Sure. Can you see my screen? Because I can't
Well,
tell.
if I go really close,
For some reason, I don't know why it's not.
yeah, it's really
So
hard.
it's real small?
It is. Let me switch to the real ones. Oh yeah, this is gonna be hard. Oh, there went the screen. You took it away.
How's that?
Oh, that's so much better.
Oh,
Okay,
good.
thank you. That is not the right glasses for this work. Okay, so we already have somebody reaching out to everyone, and that's Commissioner Carey for the Housing Committee. And then I suspect what's going to happen is we're going to try to get some meetings scheduled. That's the hope. And we can't even discuss the Reparations and Atonement Committee because 2 of the 3 commissioners are not in attendance today. So moving to the Conflict Resolution Committee, do we have someone who will reach out in that committee for planning a meeting time?
I volunteered for the first meeting, and I'm fine to schedule it, or at least start the conversation and schedule the second meeting too.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. I appreciate that. And the Crisis Intervention and Police Alternatives, which is a wide variety of things that are going on in that working group.
I think the first time around, Commissioner Johnson volunteered to initiate the conversation about scheduling, but I have not seen anything from this group yet.
I have not either. So, I can reach out. I could reach out to her and see if she's still wanting to, or willing to do that, since she had volunteered for that. And I think that would probably be best. And does anybody remember on the conflict or on the reparations and atonement? Was it that Commissioner Brown Sparks? I think it was. And she's got a lot going on right now, so I will get with her on that one. But that might be at a little bit of a standstill for a while. But I'll touch base with her on that. So that's what we're doing. We're going to break down into our groups, and everybody's going to come back together, hopefully. This is the goal anyway, with a meeting date. And maybe during the next regular session, we can hear about at least a meeting date, or if a meeting happened. But if, again, as Becky pointed out, if a meeting is going to happen, people need to get in touch with her about it being public. And I see Commissioner Mann, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Jagdish, but you wanted to be on the conflict resolution committee, did you not?
I do believe I was assigned to that one as well. Yes, I was going to make that observation a little later, but thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up so we make sure to get his name on the chart there.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. Good eye. And took care of that. Thank you. Okay. So I don't think, let me go back here to this other screen. That's committee scheduling. That's item 2 under agenda item 8. So moving to, I don't think we need to do anything else with that. So now we're talking about the membership term limits of each committee. I know in groups and working groups, in other places that I've been, there's been term limits, like revolving memberships in the working groups, and so that's what this particular topic is about. And I would like to have a discussion about that. Hearing each person's thoughts on having limits on the working groups, so we can get everybody's feedback. So maybe we're switching around a little bit, maybe to 3. I don't know. We'll see how the conversation goes. It might be 3 months, might be 6. But remembering that each person's commission term is either 1 year or 2, because we're a new commission. Keeping that in mind, so we can't have term limits of 3 years, because commissioner might not be on the commission anymore. I hope that made some sense. Commissioner Routsong, you are up in the queue first for discussion.
No comments at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Jagdish?
Well, I support a 1-year term limit or 2-year term limit. I don't necessarily believe that it should stray from the term limit that a commissioner has for the commission itself, because, as we know, work doesn't necessarily always run concurrent to a term limit. It can spill over sometimes, so it may just be a nice form of procedural relief to ensure that commissioner's work is not interrupted. But aside from that, I leave that to the discretion of the group. I don't believe that we'll have much contention here. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jagdish. Commissioner Mann?
I agree that a 1-year term on the committee sounds reasonable. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. Commissioner Ford?
I agree that 1 year sounds reasonable, and then to see if we need to reconsider the committees.
Thank you, Commissioner Ford. And for myself, I would say 1 year is a good start. If then we find that other people aren't wanting to get on the committee, or somebody else is leaving and somebody else doesn't want on, or maybe somebody still wants to stay on and there's no interest from someone else, then maybe they could continue. But I think a 1-year term limit is a good idea. And so that's my thoughts on that. I see staff has their hand up. Yes.
Hi, sorry to interrupt again. I just wanted to clarify, if it's going to be a 1-year term limit, should that term start on January 31st, 2022? Because that's when I'm sorry, I think February 1st is right. Because I think commissioners their terms end on the 31st of January.
Good point, because we'll have some commissioners that will already be, their terms will be up. So could we leave that to staff to figure out the timing and revisit that again?
Yeah, I can, that absolutely.
Because yeah, if we started in May, just for the sake of conversation, and and it's 1 year, yeah, then we're in trouble already. Because that person might not be a commissioner next time and their term.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Whoever's
Yeah.
in the committee as of, I think it's February 1st. I can double check that.
I think you're right.
Well, it'll be a year from that date. Does that work?
If
Okay.
if their commission isn't up.
Right.
Yes, I think we're on the same page. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. And thank you for pointing that out. I was thinking it too, and I was like, this could be complicated, but you'll make it less complicated. Thank you. All right. I think for that, that particular thing we might consider taking a vote on that. I know we didn't on the committee scheduling. That seemed a little bit looser of a thing going on. But I'd like to take a vote on the membership term limits. If I would entertain a motion to vote on that.
I move that we vote on membership term limit of 1 year for our subcommittees.
Second.
Thank you for the first and second, and I'll do a roll call vote of Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
Commissioner Routsong,
Yes.
Commissioner Jagdish,
Yes.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
and Commissioner Miller, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Now we're talking about, and I'd really like to have more people here for this conversation, but we don't have them here. Guidelines for inviting guest speakers. The first thing under guideline for discussion is process of choosing and scheduling guest speakers. And I will open that up for conversation. I will start with Commissioner Routsong.
I guess if I have any comments on this topic, it is that that future guest speakers should be put in front of the commission in advance of their being invited to speak, and that any existing objections by commissioners should be heard and addressed in a consent-based fashion before invitations are sent to any future speakers.
Thank you, Commissioner Routsong. Commissioner Ford, do you have any comments about inviting guest speakers?
At this moment, I'm not aware of the current policy or the previous policy or what exactly we have done in the past and what we're thinking about doing. So I don't have any comments.
Thank you for your comment, Commissioner Ford. We didn't have any. We were just plugging along and had some guest speakers come in. We had some really good guest speakers, and then and now we're looking at having a procedural way of handling that. So, Commissioner Jagdish, and thank you for your comment, Commissioner Ford.
Yeah, I believe we've had some phenomenal guest speakers, as you covered, Commissioner Miller. I think an invitation basis has worked for us thus far. And if we are looking to introduce some procedures and an approval process, I would fully support. Again, this is another topic I don't believe we'll have much contention on. I think we as a commission have have an unspoken understanding that we are all for hearing different perspectives on on issues that affect public safety in our community. And so, to that end, I support any and all procedural processes that we may implement. Thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Jagdish. Commissioner Mann?
I agree with what Commissioner Ratsong proposed as far as an approval process so that we can get consent-based approval for future speakers. And the only other thing I would add is that it seems to make sense to do sort of a round robin, sort of each commissioner gets a turn to invite a guest speaker kind of approach. Because so far we've had different commissioners invite the speakers that we've heard from. So for instance, I know Commissioner Ratsong invited Alex Vital. So they've had a turn, and Commissioner Johnson invited Jada B. So they've had a turn. And I would just suggest giving the other commissioners a turn. We can, if we don't have something lined up, then we can pass. But it just seems to be like sort of go through the list and see if each commissioner has a suggestion for a guest speaker. And if so, then we do a group approval process.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. For myself, I think an approval process is just fine. And I do like the idea, Commissioner Mann, that you suggested that we have a everybody gets a turn at inviting guest speakers, and if they don't have one, then we just go down the list to the next person whose turn it is to ask again. I think that's all I have. Yeah, on that. Do we need a second round on that? Commissioner Ford?
I do like the system of having everyone go down the list and choosing a guest speaker and bringing that up in the session before the speaker goes so that we can ensure that they're vetted for and that, everything gets taken care of before the session. So that is all.
Thank you, Commissioner Ford. It might actually be 1 or 2 meetings before, just for scheduling purposes. Might not be the very next one. It might be, 2 months out or 3 months out, but yes, thank you for your comment. Commissioner Ratsong?
Oh, I was just thinking of one concern that was raised by Commissioner Monroe when he was on the commission, which I think is still valid, that any guest speakers be given that we set a time limit for guest speakers to not take up the whole meeting. Because some of our past guest speakers have only taken 1 hour. Some of them have taken the whole 2 hours. And certainly we're not going to get much done this year if all we do is listen to guest speakers. And so I would like to have us discuss how much do we want to devote to listening and how much do we want to devote to work? No, I mean, assuming they're going to be speaking during our regular meetings and not during work meetings. Is that right? Like they've been doing?
We've had the guest speakers at the regular meetings, Commissioner Ratsong. And yeah, I agree with you. I think time limit is a good idea. I think the guidelines weren't in place, so I think it's really great that we're going to have some. There was probably a kind of, in my head, it was kind of predetermined for me to make it, 15 minutes. But I don't think everybody had that same predetermined idea. So with these guidelines, that'll be really helpful. Did that address your question?
So are we going to make the guidelines now? What is the guideline?
So we are, that'll be number 2 in this discussion. Right now, we're in the process of choosing and scheduling guest speakers. So that will be on the next agenda item. Right now, we're going around and having a conversation about the process of choosing them and vetting them and going, so first.
I don't have any other comments on that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Jagdish?
I also like the round robin idea proposed by Commissioner Mann. I have no other comments at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Jagdish. So for the sake of voting, I think we should probably vote on light item 1, which is the process of choosing and scheduling speakers. I'm not sure about the scheduling portion of it, but I mean, bringing it before the commission and having a conversation about who you're wanting to have as guest speaker. I think it would probably be a good idea to have it be a short discussion, but we might get into long discussions, but we don't want it to take up too much of our meeting time. At least I hope it doesn't, just to make a decision on who's going to be a guest speaker. But I guess that will be determined. I would entertain a motion for I don't know what I would entertain a motion for. Somebody want to put that into words? The process for choosing and scheduling guest speakers?
I'll move that we adopt a process by which every commissioner gets a turn to suggest a guest speaker to the group, at which point the group vets the speaker and has a discussion and handles any objections and arrives at a consent-based decision whether or not to hear the speaker.
Great motion. Is there a second to that?
I second that.
Consent base is good. So we going to take a roll call vote on that. I could not repeat that if I tried. Becky,
Me neither.
would you like to try to repeat that, staff? Miss?
Okay, I wrote it down on the fly, but what I have is there is a motion on the floor to adopt a process for each person to get a turn to suggest a speaker and for the group to arrive at a consensus before they hear that speaker.
I think that was pretty good. Was that in a nutshell it, Commissioner Mann?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you, Becky.
Okay. Commissioner Ford, we are now voting because we had anyway.
I vote yes.
And Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner Jagdish.
Yes.
Did we lose somebody? Oh, Commissioner Roudsong. We may have lost them. I will vote yes on that. I'm not sure. We can't carry this motion with 4. So Commissioner Roudsong, are you there?
Oh, yes, sorry.
We were voting.
Sorry, what's the vote?
The vote was for that motion.
Oh, yes, sorry. I vote for the motion.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And I also vote for the motion. So that's 5-0. So the motion carries. And now to the speaker time limit. Let's have a discussion on what we think the time limit should be for speakers, shall we? And let's make it lively, because I'm starting to fall asleep without my coffee, people. Commissioner Ford, what we have 2-hour meetings, and we're looking at how much time we want to give to our guest speakers. I mean, it could be, I don't care who it is. It could be the president. We're gonna give them a time limit. What time limit are we thinking about giving them?
So I actually feel like within our vetting process, that could be a possible discussion to decide on timeframes. It could be from 15 minutes to, let's say, an hour. So no more of half of our session. And that's dependent on the knowledge base that the person has and how much they're planning to share with the group. That is my thought on that.
Thank you, Commissioner Ford. Commissioner Mann?
Sorry. Yeah, I think that no more than 1 hour is great. And I do like that idea of also determining the time limit when we vet each individual case. So thanks, Commissioner Ford.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann, for your comment. Commissioner Jagdish?
I'd like to reiterate what Commissioner Mann just said and show my support for Commissioner Ford's proposal. I think that it is certainly smart to cap our speakers at about an hour so that we can still conduct the business of this commission at each of our meetings, while simultaneously apportioning time on the basis of the content of each speaker's speech or presentation or whatever they may have for us. And so to that end, I also support that proposal.
Thank you, Commissioner Jagdish. And I'm wondering if we are, I'm a little out of turn here, but I want to get to it before any more comments, because I think we also have to take into account that we're also talking about asking questions of the speakers. And so we don't want to forget that that is also part of the time. Commissioner Routsong, I'm sorry that I interrupted the flow there, but it's your turn.
No, I was going to raise the same question, and I would put forward that that we plan to structure speaking time to 30 minutes, which would allow us 30 minutes of questions if needed and discussion. And that be a standard, and then we can possibly decide to change that depending on the speakers as we go.
Thank you, Commissioner Routsong. Guess it's my turn. So I like the idea of 1 hour, not to extend over an hour, maybe 15 minutes to an hour, like Commissioner Ford had suggested. Brilliant suggestion. Thank you for that. I like the idea of having the guest speaker at 45 minutes and then questions to 15, but I also do think that that's up for debate, during which time, depending on who we're going to be listening to and hearing from. So I think those things, maybe they don't have to be ironed out really succinctly with questions versus speaker, but just we have to keep it. My idea is we just keep it in our purview that it's both. So that's my thoughts. Thank you. So second round of thoughts, Commissioner Ford?
I like the addition of having questions within that time limit and kind of not making it completely when we're talking about it, it has to be 40 minutes of the presenter speaking and 15 minutes of us with questions, but kind of keeping that on the back burner and just making it aware if the speaker goes over 45 minutes, maybe we need to stop them so that we can ensure questions and don't go over that 1 hour mark. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ford. Commissioner Mann?
I agree with everything Commissioner Ford just said.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Commissioner Mann. Commissioner Jagdish, anything further?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Routsong?
I don't have any other comments.
Thank you. And I don't think I have any other comments either. Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to keep the, well, I'd entertain a motion on the topic of speaker time limits.
I'd like to make a motion that our speakers be limited to inclusive of their talk and our questions, no more than 1 hour of our meeting time.
I'll second that.
And let's do a voice call or voice vote. Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner Jagdish,
Yes.
Commissioner Routsong,
Yes.
and Commissioner Miller, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, we are to talking about public comment policy. So this is, do we want to have public comment? And if we do, what's that look like? I know we can't tell people what they can and can't say. I think we can, though. We can say people speak on what items on the agenda or things of concern in our community. So do we want to have public comment? That's what we're talking about. Commissioner Ford? Can't hear you.
Sorry. I do believe that we could have public comment. I do not know, and I'd love to hear from other members how exactly we'd go about that procedure, though.
Thank you for your comment. Commissioner Mann?
I think we do need to make ourselves open to public comment. I'm not sure how to structure it. I've heard the point made that if you wait until the end of the meeting for public comment, that may inconvenience some people who want to comment by making them sit, through the whole meeting, which makes sense. I am open to any suggestions about where in the meeting to put it and how to structure it. And I am definitely supportive of time limits on those comments, again, so we don't lose too much of our meeting time.
Thank you for your comment, Commissioner Mann. Commissioner Jagdish?
I also support the idea of allowing the public to comment during our meeting. I think Commissioner Miller, it was you that sort of suggested in your introduction to the topic that we include some sort of limitation, such as to topics of interest or to items on the agenda, and I would support that as well. I believe that we ought to listen to, or if there is something of concern that a member of the public would like to discuss, so long as we're aware, at least in loose terms, of what the topic is. I don't believe that we ought to be selective with which members of the community should be able to speak during our meeting. And so to that end, whatever procedural institutions we want to put in place, I would love to also debate that with my fellow commissioners. So that's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Jagdish. Commissioner Routsong?
I support public comment in our meetings, and I am in another commission where we give a chance for anyone there to speak. I think no more than the first 10 minutes of every meetings, or pretty near the beginning of the meeting, for the reason that Alex mentioned, so that they could leave, but also because if they have comment on something we're voting on, it doesn't make sense to have them comment after we take the vote. So I would definitely think we should put it near the beginning of the meeting. Definitely limit the time to, maybe 10. I think 10 minutes total is enough, frankly. We can always amend that as needed. And I think we should also give each person a separate time limit if there's more than one person, so that each, the first person doesn't use the whole 10 minutes. So I think we do something standard, like each person automatic. If there's no one else there, they could have the whole 10 minutes. But if there's more, then they limit it to like 3 minutes or something. And my last comment is just that since it has been raised by other commissioners who are not here today, that public comment might be used as a way to actually attack other sitting commissioners. I would like to raise that concern that it could be used that way, and to I guess make sure that we have some kind of assurance from whoever's running the meeting that they will make sure to keep the speakers on the topic of items of interest to public safety, to our community, and off of personal attacks on any sitting commissioners. I specifically don't think that we should limit it to items on the agenda, simply because I think it is the job of the public to bring items to our attention that should be on our future agendas. I simply think we need to limit the area of topic to items that concern public safety in our community. That, to me, that's enough.
Thank you, Commissioner Russell. I didn't hear anyone say that they wanted to limit it just to the items on the agenda. I heard everyone say "and" items concerning the community and public safety. I do want to say that it is I find it inappropriate that people do make comments against other people sitting, whether it's on the city council. People get mad at city council members and they go on about, that, or if it were focused on one of us. I don't think that would be something that's called for. And I, for one, would not like to hear that. So, as someone who sits in as a co-chair, I would probably put a stop to that as best I could. And I would hope anyone else would do the same. Having said that, that's my thoughts. I think public speaking is important. We should allow it. We need to be cognizant that we are at 2:45 in the afternoon. We only have 15 more minutes left, and we do have a couple more agenda items. So let's see if we can get through this second round of comments about public comment rather quickly if we can, so we can continue on with some things we have to do before we close down for the day. I see Commissioner Mann, you popped up in my window. Did you have a comment?
I support allowing public comment at the beginning of every meeting for a total of 10 minutes. And if more than one individual wants to comment, we limit each individual to 2 or 3 minutes. And we make it clear that public comment has to pertain to public safety and won't be used for character assassination, personal attacks, anything political.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. I think we probably should be clear, for the sake of clarity, that public comment is public comment. It's not dialogue with the public, although I think, sadly, it probably should be. I mean, I would love to see dialogue between the public and us, but I think that would eat up the clock rather quickly. So thank you for your comments. Somebody keep me on track. Commissioner Ford, was that round 2?
Yes, and I completely agree with Commissioner Mann. I have no further comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Jagdish? Anything else?
No further comment at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Have we gone around and around and around? I think we have.
I haven't made my second comment.
Oh, please go right ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say I support this motion as it is, as long as we're all in agreement that an action will be taken by whoever's running the meeting when something like this would occur inappropriately to kill the mic on that speaker.
Thank you for your comment. I can tell you that the procedures under Robert's rules, and I know I've been bad and done things I shouldn't do. I'm 100% guilty of that at times. I only can work to do better the next time. Under Robert's rules, we can say point of order, and the person running the meeting should be cognizant of hearing that point of order, and that should shut things down. So if one person is saying something that's out of line, then another commissioner can say point of order, and then whoever's running the meeting should be on it right there.
Thank you for that.
Yes. I'm not sure killing the mic would be necessary because we can use that procedure. But if it gets too out of hand, I imagine we can also do that too, depending on how far we want to go. But we do want to have public record of something. So anyway.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that some action would be taken at that time. Thank you.
Yep, and that's a good point. And now everybody knows point of order some more. So I think I got lost there. I really do need more coffee. So we have motion to vote on speaker time limits, correct? And we already, oh, I'm sorry, duh. Public comment. I will entertain a motion on public comment.
Motion to entertain public comment for the first 10 minutes of every regular meeting.
I'll second that.
I'm assuming that's after we call to order and do roll call, and it would be the first agenda item, sort of, public comment. Okay. So taking a voice vote, Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner Jagdish.
Yes.
Commissioner Roudsong,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller, yes. 5-0, motion carries 5-0. Oops. New business. Does anyone have any new business that they'd like to bring to anyone's attention? I know I do. Commissioner
I have,
Ford?
oh yeah, sorry.
We're going to go in order. Commissioner Ford?
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Mann?
Nothing.
Commissioner Jagdish?
No.
Commissioner Roudsong? See, we got right back to you.
Oh, I was just wondering, do we have any policies on attendance of meetings by commissioners and how many meetings can be missed in a row or things like that? Do we have that policy in existence, or is someone working on it?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do have that. And if you go back and look at the guidelines, they're in there. Staff, could you send that out for everybody? Would you mind sending that out again and maybe possibly highlighting that particular area?
I'm gotta be honest, I'm not sure that which policy you're referring to. I'm not aware of a policy where the commission has decided on.
I guess it's not one we've decided on. However, it is one that was in writing somewhere that said, I've got ugly face on because I'm thinking, where was that? A commissioner cannot miss more than 3. Was it in the ordinance?
Oh, there is some language in the code.
Maybe.
Um,
I'm thinking specifically about. Oh, go ahead. I thought
I don't have it right in front of me, but I know there was some language in the code that if someone missed a certain number of meetings, then they should be, I don't know, alerted.
Okay, well, this
and,
is
and asked for. I think that. I'm sorry, I don't have it handy, but I believe that it was after a certain number of meetings, maybe there was. Then it came to the commission to discuss, I think. But that was never actually approved. That was something that was discussed. And I can find that and send it to you guys.
Okay, thank you. I will look also when I get a
I would-
second.
I would
think
just
we
like
have
to
some-
suggest that we discuss that maybe in January, making an official policy on that.
So thank you for bringing that up. I think it's a good idea. So under new business, we're talking attendance. And that's for not just consecutive meetings, but all meetings. Because I see a lot of people missing a lot of meetings. And, you know, I've missed one and I feel bad about missing that one. And, but for the most part, people do attend, you know. So, but some people attend better than others. So, but life does happen too. So, I think that's a good idea to have that on the agenda next time. Hopefully, our chair will put that on the agenda under old business, right? Nobody else had anything. I think I did. I would like to have on the agenda the at least discussion on the topic of sexual assault on the campus. It's
I believe Commissioner Ford had their hand up.
oh, I'm sorry. I had
Sorry.
switched over to agenda. My apologies. Sorry about that, Commissioner Ford. I thought I had asked you first if you had anything you wanted to add.
This is actually, I just wanted to go off of for the attendance policy. I wanted to add if we could also discuss for in-person sessions, how COVID will be affecting that. And if there will be like a Zoom in option when we are back to in-person meetings. So I wanted to add that to the agenda when it comes to the attendance.
Thank you. I think that a certain percentage of the commission has to be in person. So I don't know what the number will be, Commissioner Ford. There'll be one or two people I think that will be able to Zoom in. And I think there's protocol to do that. If you have, not saying you per se, but if you have a doctor's excuse or whatever, there's some kind of protocol, and I think Becky can lead you in that direction. Becky, I'm sorry, I'm putting a lot on your plate there.
No, that's fine. Yes, we have the commission voted on an electronics policy, electronic meeting policy back in June, which addresses that, and I'm happy to send that out again. Can't remember the details of it, but I will look through it. Some of it is based on state law for public meetings. Says at least 50% of members must be physically present at a meeting. Not more than 50% may participate by electronic means, and a member may not attend more than 50% of the meetings in a calendar year by electronic means. But there's a lot more detail, and I certainly can send that out.
Could you repeat that last line?
A member may not attend more than 50% of the meetings in a calendar year by an electronic means of communication unless the member's electronic participation is due to A, military service, B, illness, C, death of a relative, or D, an emergency involving actual or threatened injury. So.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
I assumed that ADA would be qualify under that, but I just wanted to hear it again. Thank you for repeating that.
Sure.
So sexual assault was, I'm sorry, Commissioner Ford, did you have anything further other than that? Thank you. Did I leave anybody off of that? My apologies. I must be getting tired of running the meeting today. Anybody else have anything under new business? Commissioner Jagdish, did I ask you?
I did not have anything else. Thank you, though.
Thank you. Okay. I would like to add at least discussion on the massive number of sexual assaults on the campus to our agenda, and if we could have a good conversation about it and make some suggestions to the community, to the mayor's office, and elsewhere, so we can make our voices be heard under about that, because it's very problematic. Sexual assault is very problematic in Monroe County and the city of Bloomington. So that's new business. We need to confirm the next meeting date and time. That's agenda item 12. Have we really gotten through 12? It's an amazing day. And that's the reminder that Becky had given us earlier, that the electronic meeting will end on December 31st. So having said that, we just we voted on, what's our meeting times? Becky, I don't have the screen. That would be.
I just want to clarify that the governor may extend past December 31st, but at this point,
Yeah.
that's as far as it goes. And which means that if it's not extended past that, I will have to find a room. I assume City Hall is an acceptable place. And I will let you know which room in City Hall I can secure for that.
Thank you.
And there will also be a Zoom component. So, but then we're going to have to coordinate like how many people, because only 50% can be in person or by Zoom. So we have to figure that out. But I've just been putting that off until we absolutely have to work.
Until we have to. So
Right.
it looks like our next work session, if we have a work session in January, would be January 13th.
Right.
And I propose we have one because we need them to get stuff done. And then the new regular session would be on the 27th of January. So we had already voted for that calendar for that year. That makes this agenda item relatively easy, I think. I hope. So we're going to confirm that meeting time. If everybody's okay with that, I'll take a voice call on that just for the sake of making sure everybody's okay with it. Commissioner Mann?
Yeah.
Commissioner Routsong?
Yes.
Commissioner Ford?
Yes.
Commissioner Jagdish? He is here. We might have lost him. I see him, or I don't see him, but I see his name. Commissioner Jagdish, are you here? There you are. Commissioner Jagdish, are you there? We are voting on we're not voting, we're just confirming the next meeting as January, the work session, January 13th, and the regular session on the 27th.
Yes, I do. I do apologize. My laptop died, so I just joined via my phone, and I was unable to unmute, but I could hear you. But yes, I do. I vote in favor.
Okay, great. All right, I think that's it then. Yes, for me too. I can manage those 2 days. So I guess we'll see everybody on January 13th. And in the meantime, everybody be well. And I think we can adjourn this meeting if we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. See you all later. Bye-bye.